Well, let's put that out there to chat real quick. That's a great question, Sly. So, what is your guys' favorite games? Oh, okay. Let me think. Favorite game. Okay, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one, Sly. So, I think my favorite game. Okay, if I go by the amount of hours I've played any series of games, then I would say Tekken, the Tekken series, is my favorite game. I caught the fighting game bug with playing Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo and Genesis back in the day. That was a big deal. I would go and spend the night at my friends' houses. You know, like we didn't have online gaming then. Not the way we do now. And then we would play Street Fighter. We sit super late, and I'd get calluses from throwing fireballs, and we just loved it. It was so good. Probably that. Now, I would have to say, probably one of the games that really, like another series, but in particular, I think the original Legend of Zelda like blew my brain open. That was such a wonderful amount of freedom. You felt like you had so much agency in the world. Like you were exploring, and when you went to school and you talked to your friends playing the game, because back then games were new, and you didn't matter, you had months, but people could still share, and so you would figure out that you did things differently, and that was really cool. And then on the shooter side of things, I mean, I want to go back to old school because I love where old school gaming took us, but I have to say that the Infinity Ward guys, when they came up with their Call of Duty formula for modern warfare. But I mean, the Call of Duty series has been fantastic, mostly when they were inspired, not necessarily, some of the Treyarch first ones were a little bit rough, but and some of the Sledgehammer ones, and then the redeveloped Infinity Ward was also tough, but by and large, the Modern Warfare series, the first one and the second one, but the first one brought so much creativity to a shooter. And they embraced the core loop of like getting kills and getting stronger and doing a big thing, and getting kills and being stronger and doing a big thing. And then it would just roll on itself. I think it's really watered down in comparison to where it was. I don't think that the series is as great as it was. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not terrible. It's fantastic. I played lots of it. But yeah, I mean, so those are like a couple picks. I could probably talk all night on this, but I have to also say, right, like there's like arcades were new. I grew up in the 80s, so arcades were a fever, right? Like when I was 4 years old, here you go, Pop. When I was 4 years old, my dad and stepmom had a bar in North Dakota, and it gets really cold in North Dakota, and so I spent a year, maybe, I don't know exactly how much time, but I spent about a year. When you're that young, it's kind of hard to remember all the bits, right? So, but I would help guide in these trucks that were backing up, these big delivery trucks, and then they would the delivery man would give me like a handful of quarters, right? And then I would go in, because we had a bar when it wasn't open, I could go around and whatnot, and so I got to play pinball and Pac-Man, and I got to like grow up with interactivity, both mechanically and digitally. So those games left a deep imprint. And then the Atari 2600, because I had access all the time. And then like the Nintendo blew my mind. So many games. I was just in love. And but I couldn't have been completely in love without my mom, because while my dad worked crazy hard and he had his things, he was not technology. He's a cowboy. He's like anti-technology, right? He's like, if it doesn't shoot or I can't shoot it, it's not my thing. I'm kind of teasing. He's got more technology in his life now in this last few years that we've spent time together than the last 20. My mom really got into she was before her time. So, we're talking about like the, basically the 80s, right? The 80s and really early 90s. And she really embraced technology. She liked VHS and Betamax and recording movies, and like she had a movie collection, and she had an Atari 2600. She had a Nintendo. She had a television, a ColecoVision. Like she was into it. She loved playing games. And my mom had issues. as all parents do, right? I have issues. We all have fucked up shit. Like, just the way it goes. And she had a hard time connecting to people. Like, she wasn't physical. She had children, my sister and myself, and she wasn't very close to us. But she would play video games with us. And so, one of my fond memories would be that I would wake up all blurry-eyed, and I would go to use the bathroom at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd come out and I look in the front room, and my mom would be sitting down playing like Zelda or playing whatever we were playing at that point. But Zelda was like a good memory. And then she'd be like, "Hey, come over here." She wasn't like, "Get the fuck to bed." She was like, "I'm going to enable your nocturnus craziness." And I found such deep connection and love to my mom in those few years that I had with her. A hard life. My dad has been a rock in so many different ways, but I also left home when I was 15. So you don't live home when you're 15 because you have the kind of life that you want to have. You go out and you make the life for yourself. I was pregnant with my son, who's 27, by the way. He just turned 27 on the 20th. And, so like those are some of the things that kind of define me. So when I think about my favorite games, they lead me through this journey of my entire life, basically. All right, let me catch up on chat. Okay, favorite game. Ooh, Warrior says Binding of Isaac Rebirth, a good game. I dumped a good 50 hours in that game, and I have a special spot, a special sweet spot for rogue games, our roguelike games as well. If you like, remind me, what is it? It's called Rogue Legacy. I don't know if you have a console or not, Warrior. They might have a PC version as well. But if you like roguelikes, it's a really good roguelike. So not quite different than Binding of Isaac, but still very good in its own right. Miss Jessie says right now Animal Crossing because they gave me birthday party. Aww. Derbyson says my favorite game's Nier Automata. I want to get back to playing that game. I got a good 20 hours into it, and I got a little bit stuck. And then I kind of came back to streaming. I might play it again this coming year. There are certain games I play once a year when all of our friends get together for like a long video game weekend. It's fantastic. Sly says, I love the Pokemon series. Yeah, kind of nerd. Pokemon. Oh, man, I got deep into Pokemon. It was a GBA Pokemon. It must have been... Holy man, I can't remember now. Maybe I want to say it was Red and Blue back then. But fantastic. I fell in love with Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff! Pokemon are ridiculously cute. Or it says, I love Black Ops 1. It was a fantastic game. So my clan, my people, the people that I play games with several times a week, and we play a lot of shooters. So in Black Ops 2, because they had the pick you up mechanic, so you could if you pick up a perk, we'd all roll that. We went on a 137 win streak, pub stomping, different game modes, mostly a lot of domination. But yeah, like it was insane. It was one of the highlights of our gaming. We were like, okay, we're just the next loss will be done. And we just played until like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. We actually had to stop, so it was crazy. Super fun. Black Ops was fantastic. Last Black Ops is pretty good too. I feel like the franchise gets watered down a little bit more as people are like, that's cheap. Like people that whine about the ways they get killed. Oh, I don't want to get RPG'd, stop camping, like, tack and shoot. Like they keep systematically stripping out more and more of the creative things. Elrock says, my favorite game of all time is Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Auditore Saga. Oh. But currently, I'm so into GT5 role-playing. Yeah, you guys don't know this. Well, you do now, because Elrock, she's like, hey, I'm role-playing on a GTA 5 role-playing server, which I'd only heard of it a little bit, so I'm super glad I have a friend that now plays. She plays paramedic roles. She's like, goes and picks up people. And then sometimes she's like, like, because it's strict role-playing rules, but sometimes she's like, hey, I like to hang out with this streamer, this body, because a lot of them stream as well, so you can get the body feeds. It's pretty neat. There's a little piece of me that wants to play. Just so many things to play, friends. And by the time I'm doing this, we're not playing anything. So, okay, let me catch up on chat. Zay says current favorite game is Sims 4 and The Long Dark. Ooh, Zay's had good things to say about The Long Dark. Childhood games were Super Mario 64 and Zelda Ocarina of Time. Fantastic games. Warrior says probably the best COD in my opinion. Interesting. I think Modern Warfare is the best COD because it broke the most ground. It set the DNA for taking big creative risks. Warrior says Chip is the best Guilty Gear. Oh. I always want to get more into Guilty Gear. It's just time and time. Best lad. Sly says, yeah, first fighting game I warmed up to. Nice. Oh man, it's a great game to dig into. Chip Xana for president. Yep. Chip Xana for president. Sly says, I used to play Super Mario with my grandpa. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Warrior says, I played Paper Mario on the Wii with my mom. Oh, that's also fantastic. You guys are lucky. That's one of the things. If you're a woman and you play video games, I am so appreciative that you decided that's something you like doing. Because, back in my day, I'm 43. I'm not exactly ancient, but I got seasoning, But I grew up where it was very, very ultra rare to meet a woman that, because that's the other thing, right? Like, people go through this phase where they were told, stop playing with games, stop playing, like grow up, like, go drink at the bar or do whatever it is you're going to do, right? Like, and luckily, women have, and men to some degree, but that have bucked that culture, but they've also embraced it. I mean, gaming's here to stay, the end. Like, we're multi-generational at this point. But it was lonely growing up, not having a lot of girls that were interested. And I always had a lot of my relationships. Sometimes I could get some interest and we could play, but not very often. And a lot of times it became competitive, like not competitive between us, but the fact that I had this thing I love doing. Gaming's been a core part of me that has been my life for a long time. It's my go-to when I'm sad. It's my quality me time. It's like reading and other activities that I do, but I value it that much. And a lot of people don't understand or appreciate that, or get jealous of what that they are not the most, they're not as important than those things. I've had to deal with that, a bit in relationships. It's always tough. Always tough. Warrior says, I'll definitely have to try out Rogue Legacy. Yeah. Elrock, you peeping on people. Absolutely, she is. Sly says, favorite game of Pokemon is Soul Silver. Oh, man. So much nostalgia with that game. Nice. Was that Soul Silver? Was that GBA or was that DS? Or was that 3DS? Elrock says, I can't help it. Lindon influenced me, Zay. Absolutely. Lindon's an influencer. Where it says, I missed the feeling of watching the Black Ops 1 trailer on old YouTube waiting for it to drop. I still, like we're deep into Blackout. So I still play Blackout a few times a week with the buds, and it's fun. We're playing in the last Modern Warfare game, but we're so deep into this year, there's going to be another Call of Duty game. But we all generally get it ahead of time. We've taken a wait and see when they had really bad ones. But we still make a thing out of it. It's kind of nice. But it's not quite, like I understand when you're like, I was so excited for Tekken 3 that it was like 5 or 6 months of just like, I want to play Tekken 3, and I look at anything I could find on it. It was so good.